Buju, wago shindagu migizi indodem, gazaga squaji mekag indunjaba. I really like this quote by Abigail Echo-Hawk, who is Pawnee and director of the Urban Indian Health Institute. She says, quote, "We are not a historically underserved population. My history is one of ancestors who survived so I could thrive. My history didn't start with Western civilization. I am colonially underserved. I am institutionally underserved, and I am historically resilient." I think there's a lot of wisdom in these words, and there's really a lot to discuss about what that really implies. If you think about it, Indigenous people here in America and throughout the world have been loved and cherished by their ancestors and contemporary generations. We have been provided for, nourished, and protected. It has only been the colonial regimes that have thought of us as less and treated us differently. Certainly, the British Empire, the French Empire, the Russians, the Spanish, and the Americans have neglected us, tried to commit genocide on us, tried to take our babies away, and hold them in the waters of American civilization until they didn't know who they were. Ultimately, when we think about today, where we're at in history, so often those who are steeped in the colonial cultures ask, or at least imply, that Indigenous people should abandon their languages, cultures, customs, and native nations, and embrace Western colonial educational institutions, political institutions, and economic ones, when those are the very institutions that have been used historically and continue to be used to oppress us. Black and brown people don't get to live as long as white people in America and many other parts of the world. So ultimately, not only should we be careful about who we trust and which ideas we embrace and internalize, we need to think about how we position ourselves, frame this, and talk to and about the colonial structures that exist. I do believe that we can orchestrate and exercise sovereignty ourselves, manifest sovereignty, if you will, for the sake of irony. We can create educational institutions and programs that embrace, support, and rebuild our languages, cultures, and communities. But we should not embrace the things that have so often been used to tear us down. So it's not enough to tell our kids, to navigate the gates and gaps and succeed in the Western world, when that world will deprive us of our own humanity. We have to create a different world. We need to create different systems. We need to indigenize these things. And as we do, it's important that we think not only how we engage with the rest of the world, but how we engage with our own people and how we think about and frame this internally, to be introspective at the same time that we're careful how we deal with the rest of the world. For example, I've heard a lot of Native people say things like, "We live in two worlds. We should be good at both." And first of all, I think this world we live in is not two worlds, it is one world. A white person who comes to an Indigenous community doesn't have to sacrifice their language, their culture, their customs and ways of being just to come hang out at a powwow. There could even be a white person who marries an Indigenous person and lives their whole life in a native space with a house full of native people. And they'll hold on to their English language and their European cultural norms and practices. Why would we think that we have to sacrifice ours to have a piece of sweet American apple pie? Of course we don't. There's more than one definition of success. We are able to, and we can see many shining examples of those who have been successful at being Indigenous and had that be the center and heart of their identity and their success in all environments in this world. We don't have to sacrifice our culture or our languages in order to be successful in this world. In fact, we can be exactly who we are, exactly who the Creator wanted us to be, and thrive. Miigwech. Thanks for watching today. I'm Anton Treuer. Let's keep in touch. I'm active on social media, and my website has lots of information on my books, speaking engagements, resources for the Ojibwe language, teachers, and more. Miigwech.